A value proposition essentially is the statement that you make, which we then define in short as saying it answers the why. Yeah, why a customer should choose your product or service. That's i.e. what you offer that will address their needs better than other options in the market. Once you start to really establish and identify and define what it is you're trying to do for your customer, then you're able to really put in a lot more detail and a lot more definition into your value proposition statement. So this is essentially a way for us to really understand when you look at your own business and you start to put down your value proposition. Have you identified value elements? Have you clearly indicated and understood what it is that you're providing to your customer that's actually going to allow them to choose you over your competitor, and then actually to pay the price that you're actually charging for whatever product or service you're offering, right? So it's important to do that. It takes a couple of runs to try and really get your statement refined. What I would encourage you to do is try and keep it to one statement that you can write down in a sentence. What you don't want to do is have too many words and too many descriptors, because then it means that you really may not be able to identify what is the key value proposition. Even if you're in a technical or professional field, you still have to interact with your customer. You're still going to have some sort of a relationship with your customer. And more so when it comes to intangible services, because if you're in IT, or maybe you're a professional in maybe HR, training, maybe you're a medical professional, an accountant, somebody in law, maybe you're engineering, there are a lot of things that you're doing that are intangible. And so you really need to be able to bring the aspect of customer relationship or customer experience into your value proposition. So the value element in your proposition should reflect a functional or emotional benefit that your customer is willing to pay for, right? So over and above the fact that we know it has to distinguish you from your competitor, it has to create a reason for your customer to come to you versus coming to your competitor. You really also need to think about addressing a functional or emotional, or even both functional and emotional need. So in the case of Peter, who is an engineer, the functional requirement, the functional need from his clients is that they need solutions to help them do business in a more effective and a more efficient way through technology and through IT systems. So that's a functional need. If I'm a retail business and I've been using maybe just an Excel sheet to manage my accounts and to manage my receivables and payables, then actually the solution Peter offers me allows me to actually function better as a business. It allows me to be more efficient. It gives me even a better way to show my records as a business when, for example, I have to declare my taxes and all those things. So think about what functional and emotional benefits you can provide that your customer is willing to pay for. Because when you start to rephrase and define your value proposition with regards to emotional and functional benefits, then I can assure you, you start to move away from even haggling about price and cost. Because when you start to talk about a benefit, your customer, your client is going to be so much more receptive to what you're actually providing that the question of price will come much later. Right? The customer will actually ask about price probably much later. There's an example that I like to quote, which somebody mentioned. They said, for those of you who love cars, you don't walk into the Mercedes-Benz showroom expecting to have to haggle over price. And what does that mean? That if you're walking into a car showroom to buy a Mercedes-Benz or a luxury car, you know what you're going there for, because this brand has demonstrated that it provides you with all manner of sort of high-end driving experiences, high technology, German engineering. So you're not going in there to haggle over the price of a Mercedes, because if you are, then possibly you're not the target market. Maybe you need to have a slightly lower version of car. If you need to take away one thing from this slide, you need to remember it's about how it ultimately provides a functional and or an emotional benefit for your customer that they're willing to pay for. So you can see just by looking at all these different value proposition statements and elements that by the time we get to a price discussion, there's so much more that we've brought to our customer. There's so many more options that we've provided this customer with to consider, that really price becomes one of the last things that you discuss, because the customer really feels that they have a sense of confidence. They feel that they can be assured of what you're delivering. And it's a great way to, like I said, to have that entry point conversation with your customer. Right? Okay, great. And then the last but not least, we talked about it, customer experience, customer relationship. Those are important. What kind of experience are you giving your customer? What kind of relationship do you want to have with your customer? So your customer is really the reason why you exist. The reason you're in business, the reason why we're all here is because as business people, we want to be able to provide something that our customers would love, our customers will enjoy, and they'll keep coming back and paying for it. So do you know your customer? Or do you just have maybe a general sense of who your customer is? And you can only find someone if you know who you're looking for. So if you think about people who say, oh, I'm single, I'm not married, I'm really looking for a partner, I really want to get married by the end of this year, I'm really looking for a wife, okay, that's great, and we applaud you for looking for that partner, but do you really know the kind of qualities that you're looking for in that partner? It's the same thing with your customer. You need to identify your target customer, what matters most to them and why. Notice, and this is something that I'd like to point out when we get to this section. Notice that I am not talking about what matters most to you, right? This is all about the customer. When you identify who your customer is, so for example, when you think about Jane and her business where she was actually providing maternity wear to these expectant moms, see, she identified her target customer, who's expectant moms, both working moms, stay-at-home moms. What matters most to them? And I think somebody in the chat highlighted that. It's comfort. It's, feeling confident, feeling attractive. It's about options. It's about quality, being able to have something that is good quality that she can be proud to be spending that money on. And why? Why is it important? Because emotionally, that's a need that they have. Expectant moms are in, the most delicate phase of anyone's life. They're carrying babies. They really need to be cared for. They really need to feel that they have everything around them to help them to nurture this unborn baby. So that's why it's so important. So think about this. Who is your target customer? What matters to them and why? So for everyone out there who's looking for a relationship and a life partner, I know the first thing you say is, I want somebody who can cook, who can drive, who can do this, who can do that. That's what matters to you. But maybe think about it and say, what matters to this other person, right? And that's a very kind of inverse way of thinking about it. And I like to provoke everyone in the sessions we have to think about it the other way around. Because the minute you think about it from the other person's perspective, from your customer's perspective, you are 100% on the right track in establishing exactly what is great and what your customer needs and what they're really looking for. When you've listed down all those needs, you've talked about what your customer wants to achieve. You've talked about the desires, the desired outcome. You've talked about the pain points, what are they struggling with? Think about the insight. And I know this word is used a lot. People say, that was a great insight. So the actual understanding of an insight is, it's an underlying desire. It's the reason why I do what I do as a person. Not even as a customer. An insight is actually something that is true to us as human beings. So, for example, as a parent, we all want our kids to have the best. So we do our best to take them to school, educate them, to give them the best quality of life, the best opportunities. Why? Because our desire is to see the next generation of our family line thrive and do better than we did. We want our children to do better than we've done. We want our children to succeed and do much better than even our parents did. And so that's an underlying need, because it's not something that is specific to a particular race or a particular gender or a particular tribe. It's something that affects all of us as humans. It doesn't matter where you come from, what kind of religion you practice, or what faith you come from, or what ethnic background. If you're a parent, your desires and your underlying motivations are the same: to see your child succeed, to see your child thrive, to give your child the best opportunities, even at the point of sacrificing some of the things you would like to do in order for your kids to benefit. So you find some families are not able to go on holiday because they want to save up money to give their kids a good education. So think about that, because when you start to identify the underlying desires or motivations about your customer, of their problems, and to be able to build a value proposition, and you need to ask some questions. So it's about asking and probing and having conversations with your clients, really listening to what they're saying. Because I know the temptation when we're in business is to really go out there and we market our business and we say, well, I'm in this business, I can offer you this solution, I can provide you with this. But really take time to listen to your customer, listen to your client, hear what it is that they're expressing, pay attention to the things that they're talking about over and over again. Ask them a little more about what drives them. The same thing that drives you as a business, our customers have, reasons that drive them. They want to succeed, they want to thrive, they want to do more, they want to give back to their communities, they want to support, people who've not had a chance. Think about if you're really asking the right questions and actually listening to what your customers are saying, because then you will find yourself coming close to an insight. And I can guarantee you it's like mining gold. The minute you find yourself getting to a point where when somebody talks about something and you say, oh, aha, like you literally just go, aha, that actually means you have landed a very powerful insight. Because you might be talking to this customer and you're like, I wonder why this customer is always complaining. They never want to pay. They always say I'm expensive. They take long to pay. But when you ask a few questions and just start having conversations, you realize that, okay, maybe it's because they have something else that, they're running a business. That business is not paying them what they expected. And so it becomes difficult for them to actually get other services. And so they're always complaining. So maybe there's a way you can find a solution, put them on a payment plan, or give them an offer where they're able to pay in installments, things like that. So this is actually a very, very, very important, very, very important piece of work that I would encourage all of you to do. It doesn't matter if your business is new. It doesn't matter if your business has been in it for the longest time. I have worked in businesses across the board, from, newer businesses to very established, corporate institutions. And at no time do they stop trying to understand your customer and their customer needs. Because what it does, it allows you to start looking at, and this is an active worksheet, so you can actually put in information. For example, if it was Jane sells, high quality clothes, maternity wear. So you can actually just start putting, some of the information, brand names, premium brands, workwear, casual. So you can actually use this as, a really great way to start putting this information down, because it allows you to really start to become clear about what you're doing. In your relationship with your customer, you'll find that you're able to now start talking about the relationship. So your customer segment is important. Start with your customer segment. So you're talking to a particular type of customer, describe that customer, right? So in the case of Jane, we know she works with expectant moms to be. She even now deals with, moms of new babies and young children. And then put in some descriptions around the customer relationship. You'll notice that between your value proposition and your customer segment in this model is your customer relationship and your channel. And your channel being, are you an online business? Are you, a shop? Are you a service center? Are you a consultancy? Are you available, through, partners and things like that? So it's important for you to really start to highlight those. And then in this section, you'll have your other activities. What do you do in your business? Do you do importation of materials? Do you do distribution of parts? Do you also do, various different things depending on your business?